Andy here with Authentic Nerds Don't Yield. I'm doing a bit of a different video. Been wanting to do these, but I haven't really had one in mind until I kind of got a little inspiration to watch this movie. So this is Drive with Ryan Gosling. Um, I've seen this in the past pop up here and there, and I don't know why I haven't seen it, but I watched it last night and I really enjoyed it, and it's kind of stuck with me the last 24 hours. I love when a movie does that. But I think the main reason that kind of kicked me to kind of watch this finally was the casting with Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider. So like I'm really hyped for that, and I've seen a lot of fan edits with him and this movie, and a lot of the soundtrack and everything. And two of the songs from this movie I love, and I've played a lot already. The one song "Night Call" by Kavinsky, which is like the main intro song, and then the song "A Real Hero" by College and Electric Youth. Such sick songs, and they're very like kind of aura based and just kind of have a good electric kind of female lyrical tone, and it's so sick. But both those songs are great, and I've seen the one Night Call used a lot with the Ghost Rider edits, and I think it'd be sick. I'm really excited for the Ghost Rider movie with him. I love Ghost Rider as a character, and I love Ryan Gosling, and I think it's great that they're finally doing that. But anyway, so this movie, like, I don't think I would have done this review if I didn't really enjoy it. And honestly, it's one of my favorite movies I've seen in a long time. So I'm going to consider this like a retro film review and kind of keep doing these every once in a while. Like, I'd love to do some of the Star Wars movies and just some of my favorite movies in general. But it's nice to do one as like a first reaction to an older movie, because there's so many great older movies, and honestly, we don't get good movies all the time anymore. So it kind of sucks doing movies and doing a negative review. And it's nice to do an authentic, positive review and just say what you really believe in. So that being said, I think the thing right away that I didn't know I was going to, kind of love the most about this movie was just the way it breathes, the way it's slow, the way Ryan Gosling is so good at not talking. I think that's so hard to do. Like, I personally am someone who jumps quickly to reply, and like almost as a negative thing, where you want to kind of state your mind and state your piece and not have anyone kind of worry about what you're thinking. Where he's just like cool, calm, and collected, and like he lets time aid him in trying to express himself. And I think that's really well done in this movie. And obviously, the movie itself is a whole bunch of different themes and cool kind of twists and turns. But I think overall the character, so he doesn't even have a name in this movie. He's just called the driver or driver. I think that's fucking sick too. But so him being like I said, kind of, he's got a couple of jobs. Like, he's a stunt driver, he's a getaway driver, which is how we first really meet him. He's kind of a mechanic or technician or whatever, and then he does a couple other things here and there. But the way that they don't bother really giving you much backstory, like we find out he's been in LA for a while, a couple things like that, but just throwing us in it and just having us like live life as if we're him is so fucking cool. It's a very simple movie, but it's also so well done and so like elegant, and it's like couple themes it has, it murders all of them so well, where they all stand out in their own way, and it's so good. So like the very beginning, where this is spoilers, obviously this is an old freaking, it's 2011, but just in case you haven't seen it, go watch it. This movie's great, and I would almost say it's a mandatory watch before Ghost Rider, because I love him in everything, but this was sick. So yeah, so the beginning, really cool opening scene, which is pretty long, but in a good way. It's the first heist, kind of the main way to show how talented he is at his like profession, I guess. So the getaway drive and everything, and him like knowing the police scanners and knowing all these little tricks and everything was so cool. And you immediately like have faith and confidence in the protagonist, which is awesome, because sometimes they just expect you to trust when they do something, it's kind of just like unearned. But in this, everything's earned. You kind of are with him the whole time. You understand what he's capable of, and it's all pretty believable. So, um, one of the other great things about this movie, I would say, is the supporting cast. So Ryan Gosling is hands down the best part of this movie, but I loved the supporting like kind of mafia roles. Like, so they're not really your typical, Italian family or whatever, but they do have some of that going and everything. So the supporting cast that I really enjoyed was Albert Brooks as like the kind of main bad guy, if you will, but like that doesn't come till later. And then Braun Perlman being another one, they were great and they were very intimidating and they were very small rolled, which come back later in the movie. But I was so out like freaking Bryan Cranston's great in this movie, and this is like not a huge role, but he does such a good job, and it's so important to have a good supporting cast. Oscar Isaac too. I didn't realize. So there's a scene where you see him in a photo when um, they're in the kitchen talking, and then it pans so you can see that the Irene girl is married, or has a husband, and he's in prison. And I didn't really see who it was. And then when he comes out of prison, it's Oscar Isaac. I'm like, holy shit, this cast is stacked. So this movie was like it did so much with so little, and having these great supporting characters just makes something so much better. And then also Carey Mulligan was great and so good looking and just was very good and like nurturing as a mom, very attractive, and like you kind of want them to be together, her and Ryan Gosling, and obviously that's a huge part of the story. But just a very like believable, like I would, bend over backwards to help this girl because she seems like really nice, and like everyone's character and the way they played them was believable. Oscar Isaac did a great job playing a uh, like recently let out of jail kind of convict who's like, oh, he's a dick. He's going to be this piece of shit, and then he's actually not that bad. He kind of gives Ryan Gosling a bit of a benefit out because he has been helping, and he was there to help the son. The son did a great job too, acting. I don't know his name, but he was really good. But so it's not all these typical typecasts, and they do a bit of like uh, like roles and everything that like we would expect. Um, but they did a good job not making things be super predictable, I thought. And maybe some people thought that, but I didn't. But um, yeah, so the big thing that was really sick too to me was, so there's this line, I don't know exactly, but he says like, I don't carry a gun, I just drive. And like that's really cool. And that obviously says a lot, like who he is and what he's going to put himself into. But like we hear that and it's like, and he fucks guys up, he shoots, he doesn't carry a gun obviously, but he is good at self-defense. He's quick-witted, he's very on his feet, ready to go, and knows kind of how to handle situations because of his way to handle adrenaline from all his driving and all this other stuff. So things don't, I guess he doesn't crack under pressure as easily as other people. So some of the scenes were like he's with that one girl after the bank heist goes wrong, or the pawn shop heist goes wrong, and then they're in the hotel or motel or whatever, and she's in the washroom or whatever and just gets blasted. Even before that, he slaps her. It's like that felt almost not out of character because we start to see him kind of unravel, but he gets desperate. Like he needs answers. He's gonna die. Like I like that you don't take this like goody goody guy who's like, oh, he's a driver. That's all he is, and he's a nice guy. He doesn't carry a gun or whatever. He's just a driver. He's a good guy. He's helping out this girl. It's like, yeah, that's all true, but he has to really, do shit he doesn't want to do to ultimately save himself, save the woman and the child, and just be as free as he can away from all this shit. And he knows he has to do shit to get out of the situation. So like he didn't beat the shit out of the girl, but he slapped her to get information. He made it clear that like she should be scared because he's not gonna fucking just wait for them to come kill them. And then obviously they come and they light up the place, kill her, and he's self-defensive and stops it all, kills both of them. I like in creative ways too. Like he takes one guy out in the washroom and uses the curtain rod or whatever, stabs him. A lot of good stabs in this movie too. Some were pretty fucked up later on, but it was well done, very practically like effective. And then the shotgun blast, and I like to. He was smart. He flipped the fucking mattress, and he wore some of the shotgun, and you don't see it right away, but later on you see it. It probably is there. I didn't really look back, but they do a great job at having damage be real. Like sometimes in movies, guys will get their ass kicked and just keep going. And it's like, and they don't really suffer consequences. This guy gets his ass kicked, and he does a lot of ass kicking, but he has to deal with the consequences the whole time. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself with all this stuff, but some of the other great moments before all the crazy shit happens at the end is just like the love story aspect. I really enjoyed him just being this guy who's, guy next door, there to kind of, you know, wants this girl but doesn't know if it's the right thing to do, and obviously thinks she's really pretty. And then it's kind of intimidating when there's a kid and all this stuff, but then it kind of naturally just unfolds where she needs his help and he's offering her his help and all this stuff, and he's kind of playful with the kid, and it kind of keeps happening, and then eventually it's just kind of too much to restrain, and he's like, I'm free this weekend, and then they're together, and then he's like, do you want to see something? And I'm kind of rushing through all this stuff. Obviously it's very meaningful and a good part of the story, but when he takes her to that I always forget what they're called, but the like ravine almost in like in Grand Theft Auto, they have it all in those because it's in LA. But he's driving down there, and that's when one of the our real heroes playing for the first time, I think. And it's just such a cool scene because it's not anything like crazy and nothing like the viewers haven't really seen, but you can imagine that moment, especially that being that kid, like how great this is for him, and just how cool it is to have this like nice guy who's there for them, and then also like I saw it from the eyes of the kid. For maybe that's a Rorschach thing for me, or whatever you want to call it. But I enjoyed the kind of, I guess, the playfulness they were having together and everything, and it not being this super romantic thing, but a nice like, you have this supportive, almost father figure, and then also this guy who, like, well, this guy could be a great stepdad or a great partner and be the, you know what I mean? So these seeds are planted, and they do that a lot, and it's so well done. And it all comes back in the end, obviously, and that's the best part I think about this movie is how things are set up, and you want it to go one way, and it makes you feel like you really want them to be together, and then in the end, you know, just fate has its own way of dealing with things, I guess. But yeah, the stuff kind of around when the action scenes like take place, and like when they're trying to kill him and all that stuff, and it really escalates. I really enjoyed some of the gory stuff. So like one of the scenes that I think stuck with me and like my mouth dropped was what's his name? Fucking Albert Brooks. He played Bernie Rose. He was the guy who um, was involved with like giving money to Bryan Cranston for the car and all this stuff. And I don't know why, but a lot of that stuff didn't click with me. That they were all super connected. But I guess it makes sense. Having all this money to give away, you must be kind of dirty. And there's also like the whole. I think he's Russian or whatever. Like there's the other kind of guy. That stuff like it kind of makes sense to have a third party or whatever. But like I don't really care too much about that right now. But so the scene that really fucked me up was when Bryan Cranston's with him, and uh, like he's looking for him. And he's talked to Ron Perlman, and he's like, we got to clean this up. Like we can't fucking let him get away and all this shit. And then he goes to Bryan Cranston, and Bryan Cranston's basically, he knows he's fucked. He doesn't know what to do, and he just lies. And he's asked where did he go? He said he went to Mexico. And like, not a great lie, obviously. Like it's a pretty common thing to say, or a thing that someone says when they're going to run away. They're going to go to Mexico. Um, and then he shakes his hand turns his wrist, and then slices his wrist long ways, super deeply and effectively, and just so gory. And something's going to happen, but he does it quicker than you think he's going to do something. And it's just, the timing is unreal. I haven't had a fucking shocking, gory scene like that in forever. And obviously it's something that could happen too, right? It's not like someone flipping a mattress getting shot and all this shit that could be like, different in a million different ways. It's a surgical move that's 100% accurate. So it's just so fucking, it's so much to take in, and you feel that, and you just, it's terrible. And then obviously Bryan Cranston bleeds out, and that's the end of his character in this story. But it kind of pushes Driver a bit to realize like this is as serious as he thinks it is. Like he's not going to be able to get away from these guys, nor is he probably going to be able to protect the woman Irene and her son. So it's a lot. Like what do? You basically have to make a choice: go all in, or yeah, it's difficult, and you can see that within Ryan Gosling the whole time is just dealing with these hard fucking questions and not knowing what to do. You clearly know he doesn't fucking want the money the whole time. Probably would help in an ideal world. Yeah, grab the money, grab the woman and the son, run. He knows that's not the right move, and it's clear that he's fucked, and she's gonna die if he puts him in that situation. So it's it's cool because I would call him a hero 100%, non-traditional way, not your like Captain America, Spider-Man way, but yeah, he's definitely a hero. And I think the thing that's, before I get too far into the ending, the thing that I think he does a really good job at is you see him deal with the pain of all these things he does. Like he's in the elevator with her, and they kiss, and then the guy goes to like attack him or stab him or whatever, and he just beats the shit out of him and jumps on his head, stomps on his head, kills him. And like that's the moment where he knows like he can't make sense of this to her, and she has to just kind of leave. And that's pretty much that with them in terms of that moment. And they obviously want it to work internally each other, but it's too hard, right? There's too much going on. He knows he can't, and he knows he has to keep fucking going until everyone's taken care of before he knows they're safe and everything. But the thing that I think was really, really cool, like a lot of things were really cool. I'm going to say that a lot because this fucking movie's dope. But towards the end, when he kind of, like he's been leveling up this whole movie, but when he really levels up is when he realizes, okay, I got to get a little bit of a plan together. So he gets the mask, the bald guy mask, and goes to find Ron Perlman and waits for him and everything. And then they leave, and then tailgates them. I love the lights too on his car. He always kills the lights and hides, and that's the cool thing about older cars is you can do that. Where newer cars, it's so much easier or so much harder because you can't completely kill lights at nighttime. A lot of them are automatic, and with older cars, it looks cooler too. But so when he's tailing the guy, takes him out obviously, and then comes back, turns on the lights, really cool shot, and then T-bones him off a cliff. Not a huge cliff, but enough to fuck them up. And then they get out of it, and Ron Perlman is trying to get away, and you just see this figure in like the dark, and just a fucking Michael Myers looking bald dude, super sketchy. And that's where it's almost like, is he a serial killer now or in the making, or it's like, is he something more than he wants to be? Obviously, I think is the answer. But once they get closer and closer and closer, you see Ron Perlman like, fuck this. Like I this guy, we thought he was just some driver, but he's more than that, clearly, because he's made it this far. And like Ron Perlman starts running in the water. It's like, that's crazy. Like this guy's way bigger than Ryan Gosling. And I thought he was going to drown him. But no, so I forgot. How does he kill him? I don't remember how he kills him actually. But he kills him. And then we cut to the kind of final part where he's at, he goes to the restaurant, right? Or the diner or whatever. He goes to meet up with the final guy, Bernie Rose, Albert Brooks' character. And he goes there empty handed. He has the money in the car. And just the tension between them. And we also saw before that the bad guy, he's not afraid to kill. He's not afraid to get up close and personal. I killed Bryan Cranston, and when he cleaned his blade, he put it back. So we saw these other knives. Didn't see him take one, but we saw it all. And then when they're having their interaction at the dinner table or whatever, he asks about the money, and he's like, "I have it in the car with me, but you have to promise like." Um, or no, he. So the other guy says, "I can promise you that she'll be safe. You'll never have to worry about her, but I can't promise that for you." And he's like, "I just want to be honest," and I like that because you don't really believe him, but you kind of have to, right? Because what other chances he have? And obviously, he's fucked. So at least you have to take some of that for word. And yeah, it's cool when you see a villain be somewhat open and not just a mustache twirling villain, but like someone who's got reasons and some sort of a purpose that it gives the protagonist. So with him doing that, they go to the car. Obviously, he pops the trunk and he's like, "Here it is." And then he goes to gets it, and they fucking stabs him. And that was another scene where I'm like, I was not ready for that, but I was like, I was ready in 2 seconds. I wasn't ready now. So he stabs him. I'm like, motherfucker, is he dead? And then Ryan Gosling stabs him back. I'm like, oh my fuck, like this guy is so cool. It's crazy how adaptive he is. Ryan Gosling, like he's been prepared because he knew Bryan Cranston wouldn't have killed himself, but he made it look like that. But it wasn't him, obviously. So I think he knew. He's been watching all these little things and learning as this whole shit's been going. He's prepared for the worst, and then he just took him out. And there's a scene, a cut where you see their shadow, and it's just so well directed. You see the shadow of the kind of mob guy, Albert Brooks, go down, 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 and then you see Ryan Gosling kind of go down, and then he gets back up, and it's so fucking cool. And like that's a hero moment. That's such a big deal when it comes to writing and making a protagonist, manly and also just like never back down is such a good theme to have in a protagonist. And you see him get in the car and sit there and hold his stomach, and you just like he doesn't blink for like fucking. It's like it feels like forever. But you're like, please don't be dead. It's like, how much time has passed? Are we at the point where he's bled out and he's dead? And then he like blinks and he just fucking puts it in gear and he goes. You're like, thank God, I knew he wasn't dead. But you think for a second, maybe he's dead. And then it cuts to like a really dramatic kind of end of the movie with her, Irene, at the apartment and goes to knock on the door, knocks, and you're waiting. It's like, did he get home? Like, are they, is this maybe a happily ever after? And no, she doesn't answer the door, and you wait and nothing. And then she starts to walk back to her door, and then you just see him driving, and it's nighttime, and he drives off, and that's it. And I think the way that it was handled, where, maybe he's going to drive back to the apartment and get her. But realistically, that's not going to happen because he knows he needs her to be safe. He needs the kid to be safe, and he's not safe. And he leaves the money, which I love too. So he kills the guy, leaves the money because he wants no part in that, and I love that. I love that it was never about the money. It was about surviving, obviously, in life. You need money, but it was never about that money. He didn't want that money. And then him driving off, not into the sunset, which I love that they flipped this. So the hero drives off in the sunset, gets the girl, gets all this glory, and he's the hero. Where Ryan Gosling is the hero in this story, and he doesn't get the girl because fate didn't want him to, and he is driving off into the dark, but he's driving and he's free to a degree. But he did all these things he didn't want to have to do, and he did. And that's I think what makes him a hero. He looked after the kid, he looked after the girl, he looked after the dad who came out of prison, and just none of it went the way he wanted. And I think some people, that's just how their life goes, unfortunately, where some people get everything they want, but some people have to just sacrifice everything to just be the right hero that they think is needed. And I think that's what he does. And I think that's the big takeaway of this movie is drive. And I think drive can be taken in different perspectives. Obviously, it's a car. Obviously, it's like keep going. And obviously, just like get up and, don't stop. And then also at the end, drive. That was his only option. He couldn't go back. He couldn't, go to the police. He couldn't do any of this shit. So I think, and that's his name in the movie, Driver. So it's a very kind of poetic and depressing ending, but I think it's a really good way to, kind of almost bookmark it back to the beginning where you see him driving in a chaotic way, where this he is as well, but he's doing it because he has to. Before he was doing it because he kind of wanted to, and so now, what do we think is going to happen with him now? Well, we assume he's going to go to a new city or whatever and start a new life, but you never know really. But I like that. I like that we don't have a definitive ending. But I love this movie. Like I put it up there. I haven't seen a good movie like this in a while. I really liked Project Hail Mary this year, and I really liked what was the other one? I can't even remember. So it must have been not that good. But this is up there. This is older. This is 15 years old now, 2011. But I would say this is one of my favorite movies I've seen in the last like 5 years, easily. And I wish I saw this when it came out. I wish I saw it in theater. Yeah, what would I rate this movie? I think this movie will hold really well over time, and it clearly has. I don't know. I would give this, is 8.5 too low? Is 9 too low? I love this movie. I think a 9.2. I would give this a 9.2. I really love this movie, and I loved how simple it was and how effective it was, and the cast and Ryan Gosling and just the aura of the heroic, almost vigilante, but that's not who he is, but that's who he has to become for a short period. And just the music and the scenery and the cars, and it was sick. Yeah, 9.2. Love this movie. So it's a retro film review of Drive with Ryan Gosling. Hope you guys liked it. I'll try and keep doing more of these and keep up more videos. But yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good day.